Well, today I am really excited to welcome Cheri Sterman to Grand Magazine World and to Ageless Inspiration podcast. Cheri is a nationally recognized child development expert whose work sits at the intersection of creativity, education, and at the and how children can learn best. She's advised the White House, the Commission on Children and Youth, the President's Committee on the Arts and Humanities, and the National Education Association that helps shape how learning shows up for kids across the country. And I've also learned she is very active in STEM, which a lot of our grant readers know is my passion, helping kids understand how science, technology, engineering, math, and the arts are the future. So in her role, Cheri helps lead innovation like Crayola's Creativity Week coming up, reminding us that creativity isn't a nice extra for children, it's foundational. We're thrilled to welcome Crayola into the Grand Magazine conversation today and to explore how creativity connects to learning, confidence, and our future and the children that are growing into it. Cheryl, let's begin. Let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about creativity through the grandparents' lens, which I understand you have a passion about as well. You have a grandchild in Sweden, right?
Switzerland, yep.
Oh, exactly. Switzerland, I beg your pardon.
Yes, and one in Philadelphia. So two young grandkids. So It's such a pleasure to be joining you here, Pat, speaking about topics that are so important for our families and for the broader community.
So many grandparents today are deeply involved in their grandchildren's lives, reading with them, crafting together. I know I do I'm doing it now with my great-grandchild, who is 7 years old, and we're coloring constantly and crafting and building things at the kitchen table. So from your perspective, why is creativity so important for kids today, not just as an art, but as a way to build real-life skills like problem solving, resilience, confidence, and how can that be nurtured across generations?
Absolutely. So at Crayola, we define creativity as putting your imagination into action. So it's all about original thought and innovation. So what's important as you're working with kids is to help them see that creativity is involved in every career, in every problem-solving situation, in every creative collaboration like the ones that you just described. And beyond the workplace, creative experiences are a wellness or a self-care practice. Mm-hmm. So, and I know that a lot of grandparents enjoy participating in creative experiences with grandkids or with, friends, because when we release the judgment and we just focus on the beauty of the unfolding of the creative process, that can, when we're sketching and doodling or painting, these are ways for us to recharge mentally, reduce our stress, and reconnect with our inner selves. And then when you're working with the kids, these creative experiences, I like to call them the window into their mind, because kids are expressive with their thoughts and feelings.
They so relate to everything you said. That you all of a sudden you see them working on an art project and you go, where did that come from? I've asked my great grandchild that. I said, where did you come up with that idea? It's beautiful. So for grandparents and parents and educators that may be watching this, this may be new to them, this Creativity Week. So can you tell us about Crayola Creativity Week and how families can take part? What makes this free program such a joyful and accessible way for adults and children to create side by side? Let's give a good deep dive into this.
Sure. So thank you. I would love to invite all the parents and grandparents and educators to join Creativity Week. This global celebration of creativity emphasizes the joy, as you said, the hands-on experiences, and we provide videos of celebrities in all different careers. So actors, authors, athletes, astronauts, entrepreneurs, And they all talk about how creativity is so important to them in their jobs and in their life, in their relationships. So it's easy to register and to access all the materials. The program runs January 26th to February 1st, but the time to register is now because you start to get some of these resources to prepare. It's really simple. You just go to Crayola.com/creativity week. And I'll give you some of the highlights just so people know what you really want to participate in, why you don't want to miss it. So we have Jonathan and Drew Scott, who are known as the Property Brothers, focusing on collaboration and building, how little people can build upon their big ideas. Questlove is going to be focusing on embracing your idea and reading his book about the ideas within you. We have two global soccer stars, Harry Kane and Matt Turner, who will be talking about reaching team goals and reading a book about soccer, and that all you need is a ball and a place to play, right? You can form a team anywhere. Your passion, space, we are going to explore space with NASA astronauts and with the Artemis 2 flight commander, Charlie Blackwell Thompson. She is going to explain to the kids how that countdown, that mission launch go command is her responsibility, but she can't do it alone. She has to trust her entire team and collaborate with them. And she explains the process. So it's going to be a very informative and exciting session. Michael Rainey Jr. is going to be presenting on Saturday and talking about the connections between creativity and financial literacy and helping kids be money smart. And then Sunday is a real treat. No one is going to want to miss this. We have Bindi Irwin and two of the artists who create the beloved Bluey. And they're going to talk about storytelling. Yes, and I love your heart. Everybody loves Bluey. And Bluey, the essence of Bluey is telling stories about family, which is so important to everyone involved here.
What a week. I'm so impressed with the talent that you've assembled for this and the resources for families, grandparents, and educators. It's first rate. Well, I
And
guess
they
I
can win
should.
prizes too.
Oh, wait a minute. Circle back. I don't know about the prizes. Let's go. Come
So when you post children's art, so there's a creative challenge each day, and the illustrator of the books demonstrate how they made the illustrations in the picture books. And children have a creative prompt, 2 per day. They can choose either one. When you post their artwork on social with the hashtag Crayola Creativity Week, you are entered to win daily prizes, soccer balls and rockets that really soar, S.T.E.A.M rockets, Martin guitars. It's phenomenal. So, and art supplies and books. So you will definitely want to participate and get those grandkids' art up online.
Wow. I'm just kind of curious, like, what are the numbers? I mean, this is not your first one, I'm assuming.
Oh, it's grown. Thank you for mentioning that. We are celebrating our 5th birthday. Yes, this is our 5th year. And we expect to have 17 million children from 135 countries join us.
And congratulations. This is the 5th year for the S.T.E.A.M Race to Space Reading Challenge, too. So we're kind of on the same trajectory. And yeah, so I really appreciate everything that you've added. And I have really one more question to ask before we wrap this up. And Crayola has been a part of many many childhoods across all generations. Because even my 32-year-old grandson, I had my daughter early, and she had him early, and he had her early. So I have a 32-year-old grandson, and we would color for hours together. So now I'm doing it with his daughter. So how does Crayola Creativity Week help grandparents and families pass along not just creativity, but curiosity, which we talked about? confidence and joy. How does this creativity add to that?
So one of the things I like to point out is that creativity is an essential life skill for every child's future. And so, when you talk about the lenses of the adults who are working with the kids, uh, we've known that creativity is important for kids, but oftentimes people associate it with art. And we want to point out there's so much more. Yes, that's art, and that is delightful and beautiful. But there's also this important sense of creativity in learning and problem solving. So, in today's era, when we all hold, a little thing in our hand that can provide us with more facts than we could possibly remember,
Yeah.
learning cannot just be about memorizing anymore.
Yeah.
We must have creative thinkers. And so child development experts point out that creativity is essential in preparing children to be future ready. And I think that's really all of our goals ultimately, is we want kids to face the future and be successful.
So, Cheri, what is the myth behind creativity?
Well, there are three common myths that people believe that we can dispel with facts. And I think it's really important for your audience to look at creativity with a new lens. So do we all know adults who say, I don't have a creative bone in my body, or I'm not creative, I can't even draw a straight line, as if that had anything to do with it? So the first myth is, if people believe that creativity is so special that only a few lucky people are born with it, and you either have it or you don't, that is false. The fact is, everyone is creative in their own way. And nurturing creativity at every age empowers people to reach their full potential. So if somebody doubts that they're creative, you can ask, how did you get dressed this morning? Put your fashion together. How did you plan a dinner party or plant your garden? The other common myth, myth number two, is people think you can outgrow creativity. Sure, kids are creative, but then you lose it after childhood. False. The fact is, creativity at every age blossoms when it's nurtured. And I love this line. I know you will too, Pat. Creativity does not expire, and it does not retire. And the third myth is that creativity is only needed for the arts, music, design, fashion. Not true. Creativity is needed in every career, which is in fact the reason that NASA reached out to Crayola and established Space Act agreements, which we've now had for 6 years, because NASA wants every child to know that creativity is essential for every single position at NASA, whether you want to be the astronaut or one of the team members that keeps them going on their space missions.
I have to agree with you. We interviewed Elio Marano, an engineer that worked on the Mars rover for NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and he did a Zoom session for our students. And one of the things he said, I'm an engineer, and engineers believe there is never a problem that doesn't have a solution.
That's right.
And so you're doing exactly that with fostering the creativity and the importance of continuing to strengthen that muscle, that creativity muscle, so that you never retire or expire. And I love that. I love everything that said. This was the most enlightening, delightful interview I've done. And I want to thank you, Cheri. And before we close up, and thank you and thank your team for bringing this wonderful program to the world. And just ask you if you have any last minute closing thoughts you'd like to share before we say goodbye.
You mentioned something before, Pat, and I just want to put an underline of there. You were talking about staying curious. So there are 5 behaviors that support creativity, and you listed the first one, being curious.
Yes.
The others are keeping an open mind, seeking new experiences, considering new possibilities, and coming up with new ways of doing things. If we all embrace those 5 behaviors, it's going to be a very creative world around us.
And problems will be solved.
And problems will be solved.
All the problems will be solved. Well, thank you, Cheri, so much. Thank you, Crayola, and thank you for shedding light on Crayola's Creativity Week. One more time, the date of the event is
January 26th through February 1st, but register now. Easy to register, Crayola.com/creativity week.
wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, grand readers, and stay tuned for another Ageless Inspiration opportunity. Bye-bye.